All right, we're back in game. JTDC threw some more money in the bucket. We'll get to that afterwards, though, because he's not staying in his base. He does spawn in the bottom right, but he's up to no good once again. It's going to be Team Liquid's Red Terran Bunny.
In the top left, as the blue Protoss, it's ShoWTimE. And he is scouting.
All right, so everything's tied up 1-1, but keep in mind, it was that first game of the series where Bunny did this, and it didn't destroy ShoWTimE by any means whatsoever, but it did lead to a victory, so
Yeah.
I don't know, connect the dots. I was actually going to say, on a map like Prion, I would have loved to have seen Bunny try and pull out some sort of weird equivalent of that Bunny Liberator versus Zerg build, but yeah, I guess at this point it is go with what works, and this did work in game 1.
Technically. It wasn't the Reapers that really worked, but the follow-up seemed to be okay. If you don't remember, you weren't there. The follow-up was basically a very, very passive defensive third base and a very late stim, which is kind of contradictory to what Terran usually wants, which is getting to stim and medevacs as fast as possible and then doing a lot of harassment. But in that first game, it ended up working out as you could argue ShoWTimE didn't capitalize enough on the passiveness, or you could argue that maybe just, ShoWTimE couldn't, because one reason or another, whatever you want to call it, but he did end up losing that game. So it looks like it's a very similar follow-up so far. Again, that factory coming down for the Cyclone will help defend against any counterattacks or future Warp Prism shenanigans or even Oracle shenanigans. But if it is like that first game, it shouldn't be immediately into a starports, and he is
Overcharge.
does die. He's going up to enough money to get a command center. Oh, hey, never mind. It's not the command center, it's the starports, so...
But, I mean, it's a tech lab on the factory. I doubt this is going to swap over. I would find it very cool if this was like a Fusion Core follow-up. But I do imagine this is a Cyclone. This is probably, again, just that safe opener. Play calm, play cool.
So I guess he might get a Liberator from the starports. But this does delay his command center farther than it did in that first game. I don't think he's going to like all in off of this, because you have so few units, even if there are very useful units. But it's a little bit of a different game.
So his Reaper killed 3, oh not this one, but the previous one, and him killed about 3 probes in total. It's not terrible.
Yeah. The command center does go down. The probe got in there, by the way, and saw everything, so... ShoWTimE knows that he might have to deal with harassments. He won't be losing to a big push anytime soon.
So, you say that, and I start giggling, sorry, because I just realized how dumb this is to say, but, and this will definitely get chat more mad at us, but it kind of, I feel like for Protoss, to an extent, depending on what build you go for, you almost don't need to scout right now. Like, if you are going to do that super abusive double Warp Prism Adept all-in, it really doesn't matter whether you scout it with Cyclone or lots of Marines. Like, if you execute it correctly, you'll still win the game with it. I'm not saying that's happened here, and it's obviously not the case whatsoever, but it's just kind of that moment where you kind of realize how stupid that is, that that's actually the case.
Well, to put it in maybe later terms, there are some Protosses that don't scout at all, just because that's what they've always been like. There are some Protosses who would only scout on certain maps. ShoWTimE so far has actually been very consistent about scouting, so it is kind of noteworthy on him as a player to always send the probe out instead of thinking like, I don't need to, I think he's going to do a regular build. So maybe just paranoid of being cheese, something like that. It's worked out. It's scouted him 2 proxy Reapers, so I think the probes have been worth it. This Reaper just barely gets in here. It just doesn't happen very much anymore. Doesn't really see the entire base, but yeah, that's probably where a Dark Shrine would be hidden. If there was one, and there actually is one, so never mind. Where is the Dark Shrine? Oh, he was kind of close to seeing that. Well, that sucks. Oh, well. This could be a big surprise. Terrans were getting so good at Heart of the Swarm that you would see them save scans for an extra couple of seconds because they knew most common DT timings. Might still be the case here. We'll have to really pay attention to the command center energy in the next basically 20 seconds, because I think there was a is there a Warp Prism combined with this?
I mean, you'd think so. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Definitely needs a scan. No missile turrets. It's only 1 DT for now. 2 DTs.
So the DTs really worked well for Bunny, or sorry, for ShoWTimE last time, because of how I'd say tunnel vision Bunny was on getting
Ooh, I like
across the
this.
map, killing and winning the game. This time, he is paying attention to home. He's got 3 CCs. He's going to have scans. I can't say this will be as bad as it was.
Yeah. This is a lot more like that first game where it's like,
Ooh.
if Bunny can't be broken
Ooh.
on this, then he will get that nice production on the third base, a nice economy on the third base. But the DT goes in, is not scouted. He cyclones despite their best efforts, didn't even see the Warp Prism.
Oh, he's repairing the Liberator instead of the depot.
Yo! I really like that wall off too.
I know that. Well, okay.
Jesus.
Poor SCV. He's like, I was just doing my job, man. Unfortunately, with burning the scan over there, he doesn't get the one in the main, and this guy's killed about 9 SCVs so far. Now, this isn't super bad, because Bunny did kill quite a few probes of that Liberator on the other side of the map, but regardless, cost scans on top of all this, you're no longer muling.
Yeah. When you consider
ShoWTimE's going for a third. He's got a third up and running. Sorry, excuse me.
that could have been nothing to only like 1 to 2 SCVs. With the Cyclones, had they seen the Warp Prism, with the wall not being broken, that does suck that he lost anything to it. And you also now know that Dark Templar counterattacks and warp-ins are always a possibility, and you just hate knowing that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that Bunny's actually not overreacting by investing in a ton of turrets, but at the same time, I almost wish he would at least have 1 or 2 down, so he's got that safe spot to run to. He's moving
Yeah.
towards taking a gold now. I don't know, like, both players will definitely need third bases in general, but the gold, being what it is, definitely really, really powerful for both sides. Bunny obviously gets better production with it, I'd say, than ShoWTimE, but at the same time, ShoWTimE's not looking for mass zealots. He's looking to upgrade his tech and keep going for bigger, better units.
So this does feel very similar to that first game, where it's passive, Bunny's playing more defensive, and that's why he hasn't taken so much damage as if he was playing super, hyper aggressive. You try and drop immediately, and they come with DTs, and you could actually lose the game because you just don't have anything back at home. So he's playing it quite nice. Obviously, his stim was delayed heavily. It's not even halfway done right now. So once again, ShoWTimE is the one who's a little bit in control here. He can get a fourth base, he can get up to disruptors, he can kind of get whatever he wants, honestly, for the next 2 minutes here. And that is something Bunny gives up by going for this. But it worked out once, maybe it'll work out again.
This DT is so stupid. Oh, man. Okay, finally the DT gets cleaned up. Maybe a turret goes down. This is costing Bunny a lot. Not necessarily through losses, but through scans. And I gotta point at that income difference. That's insane. That's ridiculous. Fourth base on the way for ShoWTimE. Bunny's barely established a third. I mean, I'm not. This hardly has anything to do with the balance of the game, but it is the fact that Bunny took harassment, ShoWTimE didn't, and now ShoWTimE's barreling down the middle of the map. Adepts being so cheap, cost-effective to warp in.
I'm not sure if he can actually break Bunny, but it is a very
No,
large army.
I'm pretty positive he's gonna break Bunny like in half. He might.
Reach
Okay,
in the
if he doesn't
prayers.
realize there's tanks immediately, maybe not. But as long as he gets into the dead zone of some of these tanks, fights that mineral line, friendly fire on the Marines. Like, that's a big part of Bunny moving inside. This Liberator positioning is pretty sick. It's gonna get sniped by the Stalkers. Oh, maybe not. Oh, the Liberator's gonna live. Bunny's he's gonna hold this actually.
Yeah,
Wow.
and much better than even like I expected.
That was the worst possible position for ShoWTimE. I think he thought for sure I'm gonna kill that Liberator. This will be easy. But no, with the Liberator living, that did so much damage.
I think you had valid points to say like I'm not sure he will survive, because imagine if the Adepts had got on top of all the
depots
units.
were down or something.
Yeah, if they got on top of the tanks, first of all, that would have been nice. If they had gotten on top of the actual bio, so the splash hurts them as well as the Adepts, that would have helped too. There's a lot of things that could have gone worse for the Terran, but it actually went pretty perfect for Bunny in this situation. And ShoWTimE definitely made a mistake. And this is the point where Stim is now done. Medevacs are out, Liberators are on the way. Bunny might just want to counterattack here. I mean, he might not know it, but he might have done something if he had.
The big thing I think about losing that fight for ShoWTimE as well isn't that, like, okay, he didn't win the game, but look at what's going on now. Like, we're coming to this situation where Bunny is on a gold base finally. Okay, he's still a base behind his opponent, but his army supply is still 30 up. And as long as he can keep that momentum, he's going to roll over ShoWTimE.
Yeah, which is why I really do, I do wonder if he's making a mistake here by not pushing out right here and right now, as it's going to give ShoWTimE a lot of time.
At the same time, I can't blame him at all. You got to think, like, as Terran, your army's feeling inferior. You don't know if there's storms or not behind this. If there's disruptors even. Again, I would say I'd like to see Disruptors over Storm, but it's not like Storms are terrible. Storms can still be very good.
The problem with the Storms in the first game, I believe, is that he wanted the Immortals to really, you know, knock out the Marauders that just don't die to Storms. They have a lot of health, they get healed by the plentiful medevacs, that type of deal. But he didn't have that perfect army composition at the perfect time. Now he might, still not entirely sure. But that is something that's different between Storms and Disruptors. Disruptors will kill anything they get in touch with, but Storms will not.
They'll just do a lot of damage.
Yeah, they just do a
Scary.
lot of damage, which is still important, but can be healed. The Liberator's slow siege up is something that ShoWTimE is, you know, he's definitely intending. Just pull back a little bit, have him top up.
Problems with this goes on, and we do have a counterattack on the other side of the map. Warp Prism does sneak through the defenses, and with Adepts getting on top of these SCVs, these very precious SCVs, Bunny is kind of finding himself in that. It's almost like Game 1 all over again, except he doesn't have the 2-2 finish for him.
Yeah, not quite.
I don't know that he can wait for it. He is starting to clean up the Adepts for sure, but he's still lost a lot of SCVs through this. I guess the one small upside being that because he doesn't have, I guess he just mule these and just put all the SCVs on the gold.
Oh, jeez, the units that he's rallying they're not actually attacking because, of course, you lose attention on one side, something bad is going to happen, and I guess Bunny ruled that losing attention on the army side was worse than losing his SCVs.
I mean, he A-moved trying to clean it up, and for the most part it started to, but he also bled out a lot to DTs on the front line. I mean, I'm not saying his army's dead. He's still got a lot of Liberators and a lot of Widow Mines, but these Adepts. Don't transfer on top of these. Oh, I was see with the Widow Mines there, that would actually kill the Adepts.
Yeah, so the third base is going to go down. It's kind of done its job, though. It's mostly mined out, and there's a fourth bit that's also a gold, mind you, that is still mining fairly happily. Bunny has to be very careful with how he continues to push, and he has to continue to push. Obviously, at 14 SCVs, it's effectively an all-in now, as there's a wide concave available for ShoWTimE.
He's got 2-2, though. He's looking not too bad on these upgrades. It's more about ShoWTimE having less armor than it is about him having more upgrades for weapons, but those Storms, man, those are going to pierce through anything. As long as he gets those right Storms, whether it's on the Liberators, on the Marines, it can do a lot of damage. I'm really worried here for Bunny, but mostly because he's not producing. Like, again, you point out the SCVs being dead. He can only afford like 3 Marines at a time. Whereas ShoWTimE has gone from being about 20 supply down, despite losing a third, to being almost even on supply. In fact, he's got a small supply lead. These Widow Mines are going to have to do God's work if they want to get these hits. Looking for the Adepts, looking for anything to go off on almost nothing. There we go, on some of the Adepts. Probe's getting pulled into this. ShoWTimE getting desperate, but I don't think it needs to because Bunny has just lost everything.
GG.
GG.
Imagine if he had been constantly rallying.